Drop the point. Drop the point. Drop the point. Drop the point. No zero ham bone. Gonna drop the point. Drop the point. No zero ham bone. What is the point? Drop the point.
Hello world and welcome back to another episode of Drop the Point. I am Hambone and I'm joined by none other than no Xero. What's going on, Xero?
Not much, man. Drop those heroes, get with the zero.
Gotta do it, man. Gotta do it. Well, we are fresh back from E3. How you feeling?
Finally rested. That took a little bit longer than I thought it would, but yeah I feel
here
good.
We are.
It was fun.
I think it took me like 3 or 4 days to get my voice back, and then the Warriors lost, and then I lost it again. So
I started getting my voice
process
back. Then me and Troy went to Six Flags and blew out our voices again, and so yeah, I got it back for a little bit, and then it went right back down the crapper.
Oh, that explains it. I was going to ask what happened to Too Loud's voice because I noticed he was sounding a bit raspy. So yeah, it was definitely all it was cracked up to be. The hype was real. We had a blast. We saw a ton of stuff. If you listen to our other shows, you have heard us reference E3 quite a bit. So I'll just give you the highlight of the Ubisoft Lounge. We spent quite a bit of time there and we learned about a game that we're kind of interested in. So we're going to talk about For Honor today. But before we jump into that, if you have any questions or comments you want to send us, you can do so by sending those to onpoint@aimassistgaming.com, or you can follow us on Twitter @aimassistgaming and tweet us out and we'll tweet you back. So with that all out of the way, Xero, let's talk about For Honor. I know this is like your highlight of E3. This is one of your top games from the conference. So tell me what in the world For Honor is about.
All right, so you might be surprised to find out that For Honor takes place in medieval times. Yeah. But no, so it takes place in medieval times. Obviously, there's knights, Vikings, and samurais. And the video they showed where the Viking goes up and he basically is taking some water out of like a little, like not even a stream. It's like just a little kind of dainty nook of water.
Right.
And he's taking a drink, right? And when the knight comes down and then the samurai shows up and they all start fighting. What's going on in this scene is that their world has been hit by like this calamity. There's all kinds of things going on. There's floods, earthquakes, just all kinds of things, and natural resources are becoming very hard to come by.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this battle represents. They're fighting even over that smallest little bit of water, right? Just to have that very little nook of water, they're going to fight for it. And
That's
so
intense.
as that camera kind of pans around that fight and you see the armies and everything, that kind of represents the 1,000-year war in this game. And what you're actually seeing is that the world is rebuilding around them, but they're so busy fighting each other, they don't realize it, right? And then there's a moment in this cinematic where they stop fighting and they kind of look at each other and they kind of look like, wait a minute, the world has rebuilt itself. We can get what we need, and we no longer have to sit here and fight over this little nook of water. We can probably go out and get what we need without fighting right here. And then that's where the kind of villain of the game that we don't know a whole lot about yet kind of orchestrates a little archer shooting one of the guys in the chest. I think it was a Viking that took the shot. And then the war continues, right? They continue to fight because now they don't know who attacked who. And they're like, wait a minute, and they're going to keep fighting, right? And that's kind of the premise of what you're going into with For Honor.
That's interesting. Actually, in this game, I believe the main villain is a lady, and her name is Apollyon, which is a pretty crazy twist of fates there. Apollyon was a young girl, and apparently she saw her parents get murdered by a knight. And the armor we see her in the trailer is actually the armor she took from the guy that killed her parents once she grew up and killed him for revenge and all that. So that's a very interesting storyline that they're putting together there. So I got to know right off the top, who are you playing as when you jump in? The first time you get to jump in, are you coming in as a knight, a Viking, or a samurai?
Well, Actually, with the campaign, from my understanding, I don't think you're going to have that choice. I think there's a story there, and that your perspective is going to kind of change, from my understanding. That'll go, like, you're going to start off. So when we played at E3, the demo we got to play is what was labeled as the first stage, and that was the knight's mission. And from my understanding, you'll play like as the knight, and then you will, kind of do his story. Maybe it's 1 or 2 story missions, and then next thing you know, you're playing as the Viking. That was my understanding of how kind of the story plays out. I don't know that you get to choose right away, like, oh, I'm a samurai and I'm going to play the samurai campaign.
No, that I like that dynamic, and it also gives you a chance to check out before you get into any type of multiplayer what skill set you like the most. So you should know by the end of the campaign who you're favoring and who you want to play as. So that's pretty cool. But when we look at games like this, usually stuff like Rise or Lord of the Rings from back in the day, I think, is this going to be like 80,000 button mashes? Am I going to need a new PS4 controller after I finish this campaign?
So watching like the gameplay, it's real easy to maybe kind of chalk this up as like, oh, maybe it is a button mash, or maybe I'm mashing a bunch of buttons. And I think you could actually play it that way. But the problem is you're not going to be very successful. So you can button mash, but you're going to be way more successful when you actually use the combat system, because when you basically go into your guard stance, there's kind of a Rochambeau going on of how to block and defend, and a number of other abilities while you're guarding that come into play. So yeah, I mean, button mashing will only get you so far, and it just isn't going to be a really fun way to experience the game.
What do you think when you look at this game? What do you think are some of the biggest challenges it faces?
Some of the biggest challenges I think it faces is showing it, because it's hard to show how brilliant the combat is in video. Like, once you play it, you'll totally get it. Like, 100% you'll totally get it. Prior to that, watching, I mean, even Troy, when we were watching at E3, he was like, is that QuickTime events? If it is, it looks, this isn't going to be a game for me. And so when we went to go play the demo, me and him were quite surprised to see that no, there's no QuickTime events here. There's just fast, fluid combat. And it's just, that's their biggest hurdle, is really showing people how this game plays. They really are going to benefit when they start doing their betas and stuff. That's really going to get the word out there of what exactly you're getting in this game.
That's interesting. And when I look at this game, I'm like, okay, I can tell you right off the bat, like after hearing your rave review about it, that this is a game I want to play, and I want to play it with you guys and experience it with you guys. But, we play things nightly. We get into a routine where we're either playing something like Siege or Overwatch or whatever else. We're playing it pretty consistently. Is this the type of game that's going to make it into that rotation? Like, are you coming home from work saying, yo, Ham, let's jump on and play some For Honor?
Yeah, from everything I've played so far, and I really wish I would have got to play multiplayer there, but from everything I played, I can only imagine how awesome multiplayer is going to be once I get my hands on it. So I definitely think that it will make it in the rotation. I actually think that this game is going to bridge some gaps between people that don't like PvP and like shooters. I think this game can appeal to shooter fans, but I think it can also appeal to people that are like, I suck at aiming and shooting, because you don't have to be good at aiming and shooting, right? But you kind of get that feel of like a first-person shooter in the combat.
That's very interesting, and that was actually my next question, is who the hell is this game for? Who's
Everybody.
playing this thing? Yeah, so that's interesting.
It's obviously a mature game, so parents are probably going to have to use their caution on if their kids can handle this game. But I mean, it's so fluid, and it's so much fun to play. Like, I just want to play this game more. Like, all I've wanted to do since E3 is put my hands on this game and continue to play it. It's so much fun to play, and the battle system has so many intricacies that I'm like, I just want to master them. I just want to get in there, master those intricacies, and become like this badass knight.
I feel it. So when you say this game is for everybody, and we have guys, like we said, we have friends who don't really dabble in the PvP arenas and just go strictly PvE, is this game going to have any type of exploration to it, or quests or anything, side missions? Or is this a pretty linear type experience that's really highlighting the battle mechanics?
Well, I think when it comes to like story-wise and the actual missions you're on, I'm not sure if there'll be so-called side missions other than your main story. There is a limited amount of exploration from what it seemed like in the first mission that I played. And there's obviously environmental things that you can kind of take your battles how you want them. Like, you can go straight on with somebody, or you can use your environments. You know, one thing I saw is like a guy guard in that E3 demo. He guard breaks this guy, throws him down, and then he does like an upward, you know, from an aerial attack from above to kill him. Like, so you can use your environment around. I hope there's replayability in the campaign, but I really feel like this game's going to shine in multiplayer. I feel like it's going to take everything you love about campaign and really emphasize it in multiplayer.
So is that what draws you into For Honor? Is it the idea of having this type of multiplayer experience, or is it something more?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different multiplayer experience. I mean, how many shooters are going to come out this year and next year that we're going to play? Probably a lot. Right? How many of those are going to be multiplayer games that we play for at least a month? Probably a lot. This PvP, however, is just so unique. It's different. There's nothing else really coming to market that I see that really offers something like this. I mean, it's a really fast, fluid combat system that takes, you know, a great degree of skill to pull off some really awesome things. But it's simple enough that anybody can really get it. I mean, if you've ever played a Zelda game, the basic lock-on and attacking is kind of how this thing works, with, you know, a little bit more, obviously, a lot more going on. But that's the general gist of it. I mean, you can lock onto a character in PvP and get down with them. So,
right.
I don't know. I'm just really interested. It's like when Rocket League came out. There's nothing else really like it multiplayer wise, and it just kind of captured an audience, right? And I feel like this is the same thing.
Well, I'm freaking excited about it, and if I want to get my hands on it early, is there any type of alpha or beta thing lined up for people to get into?
Yeah, so they've been doing alpha beta signups for a while now. I actually think it was last E3 they started the sign up. It's on forerunner.com. And yeah, it's just basically sign up with your Uplay, register for alpha beta access, and then when it comes, you'll get a, you know, notification that you got it or not.
Right on. So I will leave that link down in the description if you are interested in checking out For Honor. Lastly, Xero, can you tell us when this game is coming out?
It comes out on the best day probably for this game, and that is going to be Valentine's Day next year. So all you men out there, this is what you need to ask your women for.
Right, or if you're single like me, this is what you'll do to take out your frustration that you're at home alone. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of Drop the Point. As always, leave a comment down below letting us know what you think about For Honor. Are you excited about it? Can you not wait to play it? Are you going to sign up for the beta and the alpha? All that good stuff. Hopefully you did enjoy this episode. If so, smack a like on the video so we know you're picking up what we're putting down. And don't forget to check us out at aimassistgaming.com to see all of our links and all the different content that we have. Thank you so much for watching, but until next time, I'm Hambone, he's No Xero, and we'll see you when we see you.
A word.